It being 10:30, I'd like to call the regular meeting of the Greater Lafourche Port Commission of December 13th, 2017 to order. Mr. Campbell, will you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to thank all of you for attending. Please remind that you turn your cell phones down, please. The next is a roll call. Mr. Shermy.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, we have Seat A, Chucky Sheremy here. Seat B, Perry Jusclair.
Here.
Seat C, Chris Godet.
Here.
Seat D, Rodney Jusclair.
Here.
Seat E, Curtis Pierce, absent. Seat F, Larry Griffin.
Here.
Seat G, John Delisole.
Here.
Seat H, Jimmy Guidry.
Here.
Seat I, Irvin Bruce.
Here.
You have a quorum, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shermy. And just in mentioning, Mr. Curtis Pierce, his wife is in the hospital, and actually, please keep her in your prayers. Next is consider approval of the minutes of November 8, 2017 regular meeting. Moved by Mr. Griffin, second by Mr. Bruce. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is Executive Director's Report. Mr. Chiasson.
Thank you, Mr. President. First is the Northern Expansion Projects. Northern Expansion Slip C 950-foot West Sweep Dredging Project. Angelette Piciola, Mr. Larry Piciola.
Yes, that project is complete. The lien period ended, I think, Thursday or Friday last week. I got with RLB. They're requesting a lien-free certificate, and they did agree to our liquidated damages, which was 74 days and a cost of $72,150.
Okay. Any questions?
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And Northern Expansion GLF 625 site improvements.
Okay, later on, you have substantial completion to approve in the change order. The change order is a deduct of $59,613. This project is complete. We'll go into the lien period after the substantial completion is approved.
Any questions, Mr. Lara? Thank you. Next.
And Northern Expansion Slip C 939-foot West Bulkhead.
Yeah, the contract on this job is sea level construction. They have 4 dead men poured. They're trying to pour 2 to 3 a week. They're trying to get to dead man number 9 poured before Christmas. They have all the brackets for the bumper pipe in place except for the last 200 feet. This project is moving along really well.
That's good. Any questions?
Yes, looks like they'll make completion date of the target.
Oh yeah, they're gonna make the completion date. They're shooting right now at the rate they're going, sometime in March, and the completion date is sometime in April.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Lara.
Okay, Northern Expansion Slip C 1,671-foot East Bulkhead, Piciola and Associates. Joe.
Yes, Crosby Dredging is the contractor. Since the last meeting, we've had our results from our test piles come in, and everything looks good. So we went ahead and ordered the test piles. Currently, they're on site doing excavation work for the dead man. They should start receiving piles sometime later this week, early next week, and then I'll start driving. So they are starting the project. Everything looks good so far.
Okay. Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Mitigation dredge of Slip D, J. Wayne Plaisance Engineers. John.
Contractor continues to make good progress on this project. As you can see, it's Crosby Dredging. This is the area just above, I believe, the development area. Things are going well. You have a change order, I believe, on the agenda later on. For the development area, we estimate it's about 68,000 cubic yards, additional 45 days of time, and $203,840.
Any questions for John?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And just to let y'all know, on Friday, I drove around the port Friday morning, just kind of checking on things and putting my own eyes on it. And I went to the boat launch, and they had mangrove seeds at the boat launch. I mean, just washed up against, and I showed Davey the picture. And, we talked about, man, that would be nice to, if the mangroves would start growing in the mitigation area. So he said, well, I could take care of that. So he went to the boat launch, he scoops up a bunch of mangrove seeds and went throw it just to see if it works or not. So, you know, we're you know, look at things, and whenever we see something that can be done and see if it'll work, we're trying it. So, David, thank you for taking care of that yesterday.
My pleasure. The guys were excited about doing something on the mitigation project that close to home.
All right, airport projects, Richard.
Yes, 2,477 operations during the month of November, 8,037 passenger movements, and 4,652 vehicles counted. And this was a slow month simply because of the holidays. We're going to be slow November, December, and January and February. The taxiway lighting and LED project, Sun Industries is actually boring underneath the taxiways. They're making connections to the concrete vaults underground, and they're continuing to move straight in the forward direction. And they should be doing cans and other foundations for the cans probably in the next week or two. So they're continuing to do a good job. The Loop Brine Line project. The loop is just I should say, Troy construction is just about finished. All the holes are covered. The mats are being removed, and this phase of the project will be done supposed to be done by Christmas. And phase 2 will probably start early next year, it looks like now. There's a delay in the permitting process. So that's all I have, unless there's any questions.
Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention on the airport projects, not on the agenda, but it's just, you guys approved to name the maintenance shop, the Vinton Crosby Maintenance Shop. So there's a picture of the sign we put up, and the family was notified, and they really appreciate the Port Commission naming that in their father's sake. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard. Okay, other projects. First is the Section 203 feasibility study, GIS engineering. Dustin.
Thank you, Chet. Dustin Marlborough of GIS. The last time I was here, I updated you guys. We were waiting on some information from the Water Institute. 2 weeks ago, we received those sediment rates from them. That information's been incorporated into our cost estimate and has come somewhat favorable of what we expected, not negatively impacting the project. So there should be no concern there. We've updated the cost estimate on that. We still haven't gotten the LNG information from the Corps. We've been asking, we've worked with Sarah. Since Sarah's kind of given Dave the go-ahead that he can contact the guy in Mobile direct. They have a relationship from working in the Corps years ago. Dave has gotten in touch with him, and we expect to have that information in the next 2 weeks. So that's a good thing. Also, Joni, working with the Energy World folks, had sent us some information that they provided as far as the vessel sizes that they need, and if we had deeper water, the vessels that they would build or utilize for a greater capacity. So that's one thing we're waiting on. We expect to have most of that by January 1, which is going to feed us into the new year as we start ramping up to finalize the report. We continue to coordinate with the agencies on the EIS. We had a meeting a week and a half ago with all the coordinating federal agencies to get their feedback, let them know as we're progressing some of the things that we're looking to be up against as far as impacts are concerned, get their feedback now, so hopefully we can resolve it in the report before it goes to public notice in the end of April and towards May. The EIS is about 65% complete to date, and once we resolve a lot of these concerns, we should be able to wrap that component up. Now, this report, obviously, you guys know is going to be integrated with economics and environmental. We're still pushing that April-May deadline to have the report and deliver it to the ASA, and we see that we're on schedule on that.
Any questions?
Okay, thank you, Dustin.
Thank you, guys.
Okay, the LA 308 airport access improvements. Joe Piciola.
The project plans are complete. We have all the permits. The parish did get the title opinion approved, and they're waiting on executing a cooperative endeavor agreement for right-of-ways with the port and also with the water district. Once they do execute those, I think we'll be good to go to advertise for bids.
Any questions, Joe? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Okay, the LA1 Phase 2 Leeville Mitigation Dredge. Larry, PCO.
Yes, we took bids on that project yesterday. We had 5 bidders. The low bidder was Magnolia Dredge and Dock. They had a bid of $624,850. The next 3 bidders range from $723,000 to $788,000. Then there was one that was almost $2 million. They're in order. Our budget, we had estimated about $850. We recommend approval and award to Magnolia. They do have a dredge at their dock now, ready to come to this project. That's what they were telling us. They bid so low, they need to put that dredge to work. So we're going to be issuing the notice of award tomorrow so they can get the contract. So hopefully right after the first of the year, they'll be moving in.
And then, and that'll be later on the agenda to approve that bid.
Right.
And to inform the board, DOTD did actually just take bids today and open bids for that little, I guess they're calling it Phase
2E.
2E, that's it.
Yeah, right.
So they're calling it Phase 2E, and it's that intersection area at the 90-degree, north 90-degree turn in Leeville. And those bids came in low bidder. It was James Construction Group for $13,248,581.59. So that was a pretty good bid as well. So that project will be moving forward.
Okay. Thank you, Larry.
Okay, Fouchon Bridge Removal Project. Joe, PCO.
Yes, we had a pre-bid meeting last week, had a lot of interest. We are advertising now. We accept bids this coming Tuesday at 10 a.m. So shortly after that, hopefully we'll get started.
How many bidders you have interested in this project?
I know online over 100 people have looked at it.
Wow.
Yeah. We probably had 20 or 30 at the pre-bid.
At the pre-bid?
Yeah.
Any
Yeah.
other questions? Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe.
Thank you.
Okay, Minor Jeremy Senior Road and Connector Road Limestone Project. Davey.
Yes, these are 2 projects we had in the 2017 budget. We're trying to finish up. The Connector Road, if you remember, was to eliminate some overflow traffic in 2014. We also realized because of a truck incident that we needed it for safety access as well. So we're putting stone on that. That section will be completed, I think, today. Then we'll move on to Minor Jeremy Road. That was a small extension due to a good reason, a tenant of ours wanting another 400 feet of the bulkhead we will be constructing. So we're relocating the access road on that project. And that one should be finished by the end of next week.
Okay. Questions? Thank you, Davey. All right, moving on to update from DOTD. We have Mr. Scott Rundell in today. Good to see you, Scott.
Good morning. Thank you for letting me be here today. Got 2 short presentations. The first one is on segment E that you guys just discussed. We just wanted to remind you that we're estimating the construction to begin in late spring. We're thinking May or June. Just ask for your patience and just really to be safe during the construction. There's going to be some road closures, 1-lane situations during the construction period, and just want people to be aware of that. I've got a few slides. This is the layout of the roadway and the section that's being done. This is the current facility as it stands today. And this is the blue outline that you see here is the new section that's being added. So that's going to dramatically help that turn. So we look forward to making that happen. I know that's been a challenge throughout the history of this project. Questions?
No, I was just saying it's almost doubling the width, close to it.
So the construction will be a challenge because it's a tight turn already, but once it's done, I think it's going to be very beneficial. The L-shaped intersection is going to be built into a T intersection. It's going to be built out about 400 feet, that T, so it'll be the start of the access coming into Leeville, or coming into Golden Meadow. The bid came in today, as you mentioned. The port's agreed to provide construction for canal connector to construct the project in phase 2. Anticipated approximately $340 million is needed to remain for the various sections to get to the end of that. It'd be about a 6-mile section, and then the phase 2D, the approach to the tolling facilities in preliminary design stages right now. Just wanted to give you a quick update on that, and mainly just a safety issue of when we start doing that construction on that. Okay. The second update I wanted to give you is just on the tolling presence here in this area. The first thing I wanted to talk about, obviously, we sent out a press release yesterday, as everybody here I'm sure probably knows. The toll rates will increase. They are due through the bond covenant to increase every 5 years. This will be the second increase. They increase on January the 1st. So the slide that you see there shows the press release that we sent out and the new prices for the tolls. This slide shows what the toll currently is today and what the price will be in January. We do have a signing project that will replace the current signs that show the pricing. The signs will go up on December the 27th. But the prices won't go into effect until January the 1st. So I wanted to make sure that we pointed that out. One thing that I thought was interesting this year, in 2017, we had 4 closures at the bridge at some point. We've had 5 previous to that in the history of the bridge. We had a tornado that was just off the bridge at one point. We had severe weather on June the 21st. We had the Hurricane Nate, and then we had ice on the bridge just last week. It was closed for a few hours there. So it's very unusual that we have a closure, but we had 4 in 2017. Some of the accomplishments that we made this year in tolling is we took the toll booth that we have out there and we actually moved it underneath the canopy. So the customers that are going through that pay toll lane, they don't have to stick their arm out in the weather now. And this is one of the things I mentioned last year that we were going to try to get done. So that's been done. Our cameras have been updated. We have new cameras. They're color version. The invoices that go out are now a color version. You can very clearly see the vehicles, and the quality of the picture is a lot better. We upgraded the manual toll system. The system inside the toll booth was from the old Crescent City connection, and we upgraded that equipment. We had a Grand Isle resident verification project that we completed, and also a tag swap project that we completed that I discussed last year. All the old hard case tags are being replaced or have been replaced with the new 6C tag. It's a much smaller tag that's much less expensive, about 88% less expensive. So we're happy with that. Just a very quick slide. This was the traffic and revenue that shows each year. Last year we collected $4,652,000. So far this $1,195,000. I think the positive thing to show here, and this is just a further breakdown. I won't go into detail on all of these slides, but I wanted to have them in your presentation so that you could review them. If you take a look at this slide, you can see September and November of this year we actually had increased traffic over last year, and that's the first time that's happened in 3 years. So we don't have a huge increase, but to not have decreases is very positive, and to be slightly increased over the last 3 months is very encouraging. So we look forward to that remaining at least neutral and hopefully increasing over the period of time. This is a traffic. This graph will show you by class, so 2-axle vehicles versus 18-wheelers, how many of each class cross the bridge each year, and where we are so far for 2018. This is our customer service stats. So we send out notification letters to something that was asked for a few years ago. The really positive thing I wanted to bring up on this is if you see the first year or the second and third year, we sent out about 15,000 to 16,000 notification letters. And this year, we're going to send out probably a fourth of that, which means, number one, we have a whole lot less violations, which is really great, and more people have accounts that are up to date. So the system is running a lot smoother than it has in the past, and this is a real positive sign. This is the violations for fiscal year, and again, as you can see on this bar graph, 2014 was kind of a peak for us, And if you take a look at 2017, we went from 60,000 to 13,000. So a huge drop in violations that are being mailed out, and this year it's probably going to be another about 20% drop, which is very encouraging. This is also just an invoice with flags that shows that if you have an invoice and your truck or your vehicle is flagged, and it's really encouraging to see the numbers drop as severely as they've dropped. So we really made a huge impact on the customer service level here and getting people to properly have their accounts updated, and we're just not seeing the violations that we used to see, which is really terrific. All positive things. The hard case swap, this was a huge project. When we first started the toll system, we had the old hard case that was put on your car with Velcro. We started out with 4,300 accounts that had those tags. 66,000 of those tags. We're down to 800. Out of that 867, about half of that have been used in the last year. So the first or second week of January, we're going to turn off that hard case protocol on our toll system, and we'll just be reading now the 2 sticker tags, which will make it much more effective and efficient. There will be some people that have not turned in their hard cases that will get violations because they haven't turned them in. As they call us, we'll take care of those violations and get them transferred over to the new tag. We have worked for about 11 and a half months on contacting all the customers. We've contacted about 80% of the customers. 20% don't have a good address or phone number that we can find. Grand Isle resident verification. This is required for us to do through the audit process every year, just to make sure that those that are on that live on Grand Isle do qualify for the exemption. We found that we have 552 counts that qualify. There were 79 that did not qualify for whatever reason. 26 were closed by the account holder and 53 were closed by the CSC. So that is a clean audit now. I think there's maybe 1 pending on the island that we haven't rectified there. And then the last thing, something that I'm very proud of, if you read the newspaper and you see the legislative audits on the TV, we just had our 4th 100% clean audit with no findings, 4 years straight, which we're really, really proud of, and look forward to having another one this next year. I'll be glad to take any questions if you have any.
Any questions?
Yes, sir.
You said the hard case, to turn the hard case in. When I got my new tag, I think I threw it away. So what happens there?
Just call the customer service center and we'll be glad to issue you another tag.
No, my hard case, you say you have to turn them in.
We want you to turn them in. You don't have to turn it in. If there's two things that happen when you bought that hard case. You either bought that case outright, in which you own it, and you can throw it in the trash can.
That's what I did.
If you had that case and it was a deposit, then you can get some of your deposit back for that. So that would need to be turned in for that particular case. But most of these were purchased, so you shouldn't have any problem.
Okay.
As long as you put your new tag on your windshield.
We're getting a fine for it if we didn't turn it in.
No, as long as you put your new tag on that windshield, you're great.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah. Okay, anything else?
No, I'm
Yes.
good today, thank you.
It's so good to see you in your Santa hat. I was so thrilled to get up in front of you again today, but I'm sure we've
No, it's Christmas time, I'll give you a break, Dave.
we've had some really good communication over this last year, and I appreciate his working with us.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I know the violations for out-of-state vehicles.
Yes.
There was some issues with some states not reciprocating the
Right.
suspensions.
There's a couple of things on that. There's a federal mandate that says that all states should be interoperable, and that should have happened in the last year or two, but they've given extensions on that because it just hasn't happened. We are in the process of working with interoperability between states that will be Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Minnesota, all of Florida, the Carolinas. That should happen in this next year. So we'll have a good probably third of the states, and then probably by the next year we'll have the rest of the states. So that's one thing that's going to happen. The other thing is we're looking at going up for a new toll system. The life of a typical toll system is about 6 or 7 years, and we're at like 10. So we're looking at going out for a new system, and with that system, we're liable to be outsourcing part of that operation, which would be give us the access to go out for out-of-state vehicles and give us a much better read on what we're doing with those.
The increased toll for the next 5 years?
Yes, sir.
Will that offset some of the decline in traffic? Have y'all even studied that?
You know, I see what I see, and I look at the traffic every month. I look at it really deeply, and what I see is the traffic is starting to stabilize instead of decrease. So if we stabilize our traffic, which it looks like is what's happening, and we're increasing the rates, and that's going to help you collect more money. Last year, the bond payment was $6.2 million. We collected 4.6. So we had some money in reserves that helped pay the difference. And of course, if we don't meet it, then the state backs that money. And we want to meet that payment without having the state having to back that up. I think that this year we're going to be able to make that payment without the state backing it up. And I'm thinking this toll increase will help us make it the next few years. So I think it's going to be good. And hopefully in the future, you know, everything improves here. And we get our traffic back, and we'll be on the way. So I think it's really good. The system is working really well. Very few complaints, and you know it's just been a very positive year for us this year.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Well, this was easier this year. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Y'all have a Merry Christmas.
You too. Thanks for your time.
Okay, next is public comment. We have Ms. Christine Russell.
Good morning. I want to thank you all for allowing me to come by this morning to introduce myself. To those of you who do not know me, my name is Christine Russell, and I am the District Attorney of Lafourche Parish. I've been in the office since 2003, full-time Assistant District Attorney, and I was appointed First Assistant in 2012. Because of that, it's been a very smooth transition since the recent retirement of Mr. Morvant. As you all are aware, we are the legal advisor for the Greater Lafourche Port Commission, and we have had a great working relationship with all of you as well as Mr. Otan, and I promise you that will continue. We will continue to work with Mr. Otan and with you all. If there's anything that you need, please know that my door is open to any of you that you can call at any time. Ms. Ogeron as well, if you have any questions of us or our office, we're here to serve you. So I appreciate you coming by, allowing me to come by and introduce myself today. I do have another speaking engagement at 11:15, so I will sneak out early, but if any of you need anything, please do not hesitate to call, and thank you again.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we have Ms. Katie DeRoche to make a comment.
Thank you all. Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Merry Christmas. Ken.
Good morning. I'm Katie DeRoche with Lori LeBlanc, LLC, representing the Gulf Economic Survival Team. It's a nonprofit group in support of oil and gas industry. And I just wanted to briefly mention about the upcoming 2019-2024 National OCS Draft Proposed Program. BOEM, the federal agency which oversees the offshore leasing programs, is expected to release it anytime soon now. It was delayed from Monday, and so we're hoping to see it either next week or sometime this month. I'm sure all of you are aware of the previous administration and how it wasn't in support of expanding the Outer Continental Shelf. But unlike the previous administration, the one we have under President Trump is in favor of expanding the OCS, so which will be beneficial for us here in the Gulf of Mexico, and to have access to natural resources and offshore. So we're hopeful to see what will be in the plan. The Gulf Economic Survival Team will have a statement once it's released, and so after that there will be a 90-day comment period, so we're glad to help the port write anything and submit a draft, or we're just here to help in any way and support, so let us know, and thank you.
Thank you, Katie.
Thank you.
Okay.
That concludes my report. Oh,
No other public comment? All right. We'll move on to, excuse me, committee reports. First is the Executive Committee. Members are Perry Just Claire, Chairman, Larry Griffin, Chucky Sherman, and John Millison Jr. First is consider approving the updated and revised port policies.
Okay, we've been talking about this for several months now, and you're aware that our administrative staff, mainly Miranda and Bryce, have been working on our policy manual, really just to make it look like the best practices that are necessary. So our recommendation is to approve the updates and changes that we have made.
Moved by Mr. Jusclair, second by Mr. Melanson. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, is consider approving the request for consent and estoppel agreement for Martin Holdings, Offshore Support Services, and Fouchon Heavy Lift Leases.
Bryce, you want to briefly?
Okay, we discussed this on Monday night. It's essentially, these entities are looking at doing some financial transactions in which they would be granting leasehold mortgages on these properties, and it's pretty standard for us to approve these types of agreements when our tenants are looking for funding. So I recommend we approve.
Moved by Mr. Bruce, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried. Next is consider approving the right of first refusal extension with Edward Wisner donation for Fouchon Island.
Okay, so we have an expiring one-year term, right of first refusal, that expires on January 7th, 2018. So this is going to extend our right of first refusal for another 6 months to July 7th, 2018. So recommendation to approve.
I'll move.
Moved by Mr. Griffin.
Second.
Second by Mr. Jusclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is consider approving the request from Grand Isle Shipyard for a landlord agreement.
Okay, this is another situation where one of our tenants is looking to do some refinancing. This is a little bit different in that the collateral that they're using in this case is actually their equipment and their machinery and the inventory they have on the site. So in a case like this, the bank looks at us and asks us to subordinate our lessor's lien in that property, again, which we generally do whenever it's gonna assist our tenants. So I recommend we approve.
Moved by Mr. Sheremy, second by Mr. Gode. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next is consider approving the request from Montco to extend short-term mooring agreement.
Okay, Montco has periodic needs to bring in a lift boat and just kind of store it and stage it in Flotation Canal. So we've identified that location, and our recommendation is to approve.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Melanson, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Next, we move into Permits and Waterways Committee. Members are Chucky Sheremy, Chairman, Larry Griffin, Perry Gisclair, and Curtis Pierce. Mr. Sheremy.
Thank you, Mr. President. First one we have is Greater Lafourche Port Commission. Complete construction of a tidal creeks and fish dips to improve mitigation project sites previously permitted under P 200900953. Approximately 12,882 cubic yards of material will be displaced. Next, we have Castec Energy. Proposed locations, dredging, and structure for the Section 69 project upon successful completion of the well and wellhead. Then we have Shell Pipeline Company. Proposed maintenance of a 12-inch repairs for Shell Pipeline Company, existing Clovelly to Narco 24-inch pipeline. And that's all we have, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Griffin.
It was brought to my attention that the floodgate, the locks, the northern cluster, the last cluster on the north side, coming out, that the cable holding it together is loose. It's fixed, it's starting to fall apart, really. So maybe get somebody to check that out, see before it completely breaks, you know.
Okay.
It's been hit so often.
Yeah.
The boats coming in and all, so that the
Mr. Brewer, you have that? Okay, taken care of, sir.
Okay.
That concludes our report, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sherby. Next is Construction and Development Committee. Members are Urban Bruce Chairman, Larry Griffin, Perry Jusclair, and Rodney Jusclair. Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. President. Consider approving change order number 1 from Sea Level Construction for GLF 625 site improvements.
Okay, this change order is a decrease of $59,377. Recommendation to approve.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Melanson, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Consider approving the substantial completion certificate from Sea Level Construction for GLF 625 site improvements.
This project is complete. Everything is in order. Recommendation to approve.
Moved by Mr. Bruce,
Second.
second by Mr. Jusclair. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Consider approving change order number 1 from Crosby Dredging for a mitigation dredge of slip D.
Okay, this is an increase in cubic yardage, 67,880 cubic yards, with an additional $203,000 of the work being done currently. Recommendation to approve.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Bruce, second by Mr. Melanson. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Consider awarding lowest responsive bid for LA 1 Phase 2 Leeville mitigation dredge.
Okay, the low bidder was Magnolia Dredge and Dock LLC for $624,850. Recommendation to approve.
Moved by Mr. Sheremy, second by Mr. Melanson. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
This concludes my report, Mr. President. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sheremy, Mr. Bruce.
Hold it.
Oh,
You just insulted me.
Well, it's a
Paid
good,
you a compliment, sir.
it was a good family. It's all right.
No,
Paid you a good compliment.
Next is Finance Committee. Members are John Melanson Jr., Chairman, Jimmy Guidry, Chris Goday, and Perry Jusclair. Mr. Melanson.
Good morning and Merry Christmas, Mr. President. We'll begin by consider approving payments of the November 2017 invoices and recognizing those expenditures over $10,000. Item 1, Sea Level Construction Incorporated, $1,222,905.65, and that is for Slip C, 939 linear feet of west bulkhead, and also included in that is the GLF 625 site improvements. Next, we have Crosby Dredging, LLC, $541,096.25, and that's for Slip C Phase 3 bulkhead and mitigation dredging for Slip D. Next, we have Sun Industries, $265,513.17, and that is for the airport lighting project. Item 4, American Integration Contractors, $191,208.93, and that's for the maintenance contracts and technical services. Next, we have Travelers Insurance, $84,442, even auto insurance renewals. Next, we have Water Institute of the Gulf, $61,250, and that is for the Port Fourchon Phase 1 screening of dredging alternatives. Item 7, RLB Contracting Incorporated, $60,450, and that is for Slip C 950 linear feet west sweep dredging. Item 8, Picciola and Associates Incorporated, $49,122.83. That's for Slip C 1671 linear feet east bulkhead and permit renewal engineering. Item 9, Vision Communications, $45,655.81, and that is for cable, phone, and internet services, but that's for the month of November and December. They're both combined in that one payment. Item 10, Angelette and Picciola, LLC, $37,481.53, and that's for GLF 625, number 625 site improvements and slip C, 931 linear feet of bulkhead. Item 11, Grand Isle Shipyard Incorporated, $19,494.49. And that's for contract labor, the FBO, airport maintenance, and Fouchon maintenance. Item 12, J. Wayne Plaisance Incorporated, $17,613.73, and that's for the slip D hydraulic dredging. And last, we have Transform YX, $15,385.21, and that is for the internet switches and routers. These announcements over $10,000 and our other expenditures is a total of $3,497,973.14. And Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion we accept this.
Moved by Mr. Millerson, second by Mr. Guidry. Any discussion?
One question, RLBs, that's the final payment with
That is-
liquidated
Yes,
damages?
sir.
Excellent.
Final payment, yes.
Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Next, as discussed on Monday, consider approving the November 2017 unaudited financial statements. I'd like to make a motion we accept these.
Moved by Mr. Millerson,
Second.
second by Mr. Sheremy. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Next, we have consider approving out-of-state travel and training. And we have Sergeant Jason Plaisance and HP Compliance Coordinator Scott Byram attending the Seaport Security Anti-Terrorism Training at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Charleston, South Carolina, February 25th through March 2nd. I'd like to make a motion we accept this, Mr. President.
Moved by Mr. Millerson,
Second.
second by Mr. Sheremy. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
And last on the agenda is consider approving the 2018 budget of the port, and I'll turn it over to the director at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We'll have Miranda come up.
Okay, I'm going to briefly go over the summary of the 2018 budget. First, we'll start off with revenues. They're at about 28 million, and that's a $2 million increase from our actual projected for 2017. Underneath that, we have our direct costs, which we subtract from our revenues, which is at around 8,847,000. That's a $500,000 increase from actual. That gives us our gross profit, which is coming in about 19,164,000, and that is a $1.5 million increase from actual projected for 2017. And then from there, we deduct our expenses, which is our day-to-day operations. That is going to be about 1 million less than our prior year budget, and that is because of the mitigation for slip D. The seaport operations budget is less. And from there, we get our operating profit, which is going to be around 3 million. It's about 2.6 million more than what we had budgeted last year. And then we add to that our non-operating revenues, which is about 16 million. It's an $11 million increase from prior year budget, which is mostly attributed to our port priority funding that we plan to receive this year. That gives us a net income of $19,180,621, which is actually 9 million more than our 2017 projected actual. And below that, you'll see the statement of cash flows. We expect to end 2017 with about 100 million. That goes up and carries up to our 2018 budget beginning cash. From there, we add in our net income of the $19 million. And we also add in our depreciation of 7.7 million. We deduct our expected capital purchases, which is about 891,000, and we also deduct our capital projects, which is about 31 million. We also take into account our deferred revenues, other payables, and other receivables to give us an ending cash of 94 million. Now, from that 94 million, we have to keep in mind that we intend to use at least 50 million of it for the development of Fouchon Island, which leaves us with about 44 million. So just to give you a recap of all of our expenditures, our operating expenditures are expected to be around $25,142,866. Our capital expenditures are expected to be around $30,763,014 to give us a total non-operating expenses of $56,905,880. Our non-operating expenses are expected to be around $5,520,000, and that gives us a total, including non-operating, of $62,426,000. And I think maybe Chet wants to go through.
What I wanted to do, now that we kind of went through the summary, wanted to identify, again, for the public, some of the major projects we're gonna be doing. So we'll move into, on page 4 of your budget, some of these projects. You know, as we've been discussing, we're in the middle of a project for 1,671 feet of bulkhead in Slip C on the east side, and so we're going to be continuing to do that. Anticipation of that being about $10 million of cost for that bulkhead project, and we have 8.7 coming from DOTD Port Priority, with our cost share being 1.4 million. And we're continuing the completion of Slip C bulkhead, GLF site 624, the 939, about 2.7 million left. Continuing mitigation of Slip D, it's about $730,000. The northern expansion Slip C sweep dredge of 939 is at 650,000. Continuing on sweep dredging for the 1,671 bulkhead we built, and possibility of building a boat lift in Nerby Collins Marina. Some other things that we're going to be doing, I think one I wanted to mention is that at the public boat launch, we're going to be doing some maintenance work on around the pavilion, that bulkhead and wharf. So we'll be doing some maintenance work there, and probably at the handicap wharf as well. So we'll be doing some work at the public boat launch to continue our maintenance there. Then we're going to continue our feasibility study for the deeper draft. That's going to continue and end in 2018, in the middle of 2018. So we're looking forward to that. And we continue to budget LA1 highway embankment stabilization as needed, and LA1 bayou cleanup work, Bayou Lafourche. So we budget $100,000 in each of those items. And then we're also planning to do some soil boring on Fouchon Island here in the first quarter of the year, hopefully. And then continuing on, we have even more work to do. We're hoping to be able to do some road paving on Minor Cherami Road, some more dredging in the Flotation Canal and Slip D, and some more development. And we have a beach project as well. We need to do some maintenance work on the GO2 project. Okay. At the airport, we're going to do a little bit of work at the industrial park. We budget this continually, so we're continuing to budget that. And that's really a placeholder that if someone comes in and wants to do some housing or what have you in the industrial park area of the airport, then we have it in the budget to actually do that work. And then we have some more work at the airport. We're going to finish the taxiway lighting project, majority of that being funded by FAA and DOTD. And some other work, we're going to do some road work, some road repair on Airport Road. You all are aware of that, and work that needs to be done. And also at the port, I failed to mention, there's some work, some striping of the road, Norman Doucet Road, and some pavement, some repair of the asphalt there as well. So we're continuing to do some work. We have some culvert work to do at the airport as well. So those are kind of the highlights of where we're going in this budget. So just to recap, our budget, operating budget, operating and capital is $56,905,880. And our non-operating budget is $5,520,319 for a total budget of $62,426,199.
We have any questions for,
I just wonder, any maintenance dredging in by Lafourche that we'll have to do this year?
There's a possibility that we may do some depending on
Cool.
if and when the assumption of maintenance report gets the final, assumption of maintenance was approved, but is the final agreement that needs to be approved, that should get approved at some point. We may do that. It's not in the budget, so we'd have to come back to you to request that, but we do have a lot of dredging money in our budget, so
Okay.
that's something we'll have to look at. That may get put off till 2019.
Okay.
But as far as the Corps of Engineers is concerned, they do have somewhat of a budget for maintenance dredging for the Corps of Engineers to do. We're hoping to see they did pass a supplemental for Hurricane Harvey. It might be a surprise to some, but not to us who are familiar, that even though a storm didn't hit us and it went all the way to Texas, we did feel some impact on the immediate coast and in Bell Pass. So we had some issue there. And we have a jetty extension that needs to be done there. The Corps is working on that. We believe there's some funding in the supplemental budget that was passed. We just don't know how much yet. So we're waiting to hear that.
So there's a possibility that they may assume that maintenance without us having to do a final dredge.
Correct. That's right.
any other questions? Mr. Chasson, along with you and Ms. Parker, I'd like to commend you and the staff and administration for doing an excellent job in getting this budget done. It's a long battle, it's an engaged battle, it's a lot of meetings. And at this time, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the 2018 budget.
Moved by Mr. Melanson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Godey. Any discussion? Any public comment? Go ahead.
Could you, for the audience to know exactly how much is our budget for next year?
He just announced it, 62 million.
$62,426,199.
Okay, thank you.
Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried.
Mr. President, this concludes the financial report.
Thank you very much. Any other business? I'm gonna let y'all go first, whoever wants to go first.
Mr. President.
Hold on, David.
Point of interest, yesterday, the Fouchon Almond Association held a grants award. You gentlemen, the commission actually participates as a sponsor with that group each year. They held their fishing tournament, which is their fundraiser. They were able to give out $35,000 to local organizations and schools. I think it was 4 organizations and 7 schools. So they're $35,000, which is lower than typical, but it was a slow year for the business community. And they also gave out $10,000, are gonna be giving out $10,000 of scholarships. And just wanted to let you know that in the combined past 7 years, they've given out about $600,000 to the community, and you guys are a part of that, so just to let you know.
Thank you very much for that report. Mr. Griffin.
Yeah, I just want to make an announcement. This time of year, everybody seems to be happy, and kids go and visit Santa Claus at the stores, and everybody's enjoying themselves. Sometimes we tend to forget exactly what it's about, and it's the celebration of our Lord Jesus Christ. Okay? So let us always remember that Jesus is the reason for the season. Okay? Thank you. And you all have a Merry Christmas. I'm not afraid to say it. Merry Christmas.
And I'd like
Thank
to
you.
wish everyone a Merry Christmas too, and I'd like to extend out to a good friend of the port, Mr. Roy Gisclair. His wife is being buried today. She passed away. Miss Verline.
On her birthday.
On her birthday. She would be 91 years old today. And Merry Christmas to everyone, and I'd like to recognize that. Mr. Jimmy?
Just Merry Christmas to everybody, and it's been a pretty good year.
Sure.
Merry Christmas to everybody, and we hope to keep us going till next Christmas.
Go ahead.
I would like to say Merry Christmas to everyone also, and hope for a prosperous 2018.
I'd like to say Merry Christmas to all and a Happy New Year, and hope we have a prosperous new year and can get this economy moving in the right direction again. Merry Christmas to all. Thank you.
Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year's from my family to all. It's been a very good year, even though things are pretty bad down here. We still have to keep positive. It gotta get better. So everyone, please enjoy your Christmas and have a new year. Mr. President, I'll make a move, we adjourn.
Can I have a turn now?
You're the president, so now
Said
you
y'all
talk.
first, okay? But I mean, y'all all talked about it and talked about a prosperous new year. And again, from my family, myself and my family to all of you out there, we wish you all a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. And we hope that the port will prosper in 18 more than it did this year. I mean, I feel confident it will. And after today, you reading and hearing our budget, one commitment from myself and all the board, the people out there should feel very confident that you have a good board that's stewards of your money, and we try to take care of the money and spend it wisely. So, again, Merry Christmas, very prosperous New Year next year, and I just hope that everybody has a good Christmas. Be with your family, be with your friends, and remember, and I've got one on the back of my truck, and somebody had, life is still good. So, you know, it's not as good as it used to be down here, but life is still good down here. So thank you very much.
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to adjourn now.
Moved by Mr. Sheremy, second by Mr. Goudet. Any discussion? Any public comment? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Thank you all for coming.